Hi, this is Councilman Buddy Amoroso, and I have a District 8 report today. This is about something that's not going on in District 8, but I think that's something that will affect District 8. Today I went to the Comite River Diversion Canal Task Force. Now let me give you a little bit background about this task force. This task force was started in 2014 by Representative Valerie Hodges. Now, Valerie Hodges, the Comite Diversion Canal will be in her district, and this is, let me try to get a picture in here of her. She's the chairman of this, task force. She started it to try to bring all the parties together on a regular basis. I believe they meet about every other month, and they try to give reports to each other, and they try to hold each other ones accountable. So I think it's a phenomenal idea that she had, and I think that it's something that's working. You know, if the Comite Diversion Canal ever does become a reality, it's going to be because of people with a lot of passion, and Representative Hodges is one of those people that have really, really kind of drugged this project when they didn't seem like they had a lot of light to it, and and I think in the end, once this canal is completed, she will be one of the big heroes of it. I think that Representative Gary Graves will be a hero, and then Paul Sawyer, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. I think he's going to be a big hero. But there's a lot of people, even before the Great Flood of 2016, they were the ones that were really, drumming this up, saying we got to build, finish this canal. This canal started almost 17 years ago. When Richard Baker was our congressman, and Richard Baker's chief of staff was Paul Sawyer. Now, Paul Sawyer, and again, so we'll be talking about Paul, he is Gary Graves' chief of staff. And, so Paul has probably been around working on this thing longer than anyone else has. But anyway, today there was a lot of optimism about this project. Representative Hodges made a very bold statement. She says money is no longer an excuse to stop this project. She also said something else I thought was very interesting. She says this is the only project that will divert water that's coming from the state of Mississippi, north of Louisiana, to the Mississippi River, and that was kind of the theme today, that we got to get this thing completed. It looks like the money is falling into place. Representative Hodges, she passed out a report showing that right now they have $128 million committed or already kind of in the bank to be able to get this project going. Now, this project, let me get this gentleman's up here. Chris Knox. Chris Knox, and he's, this is a picture of the television screen that was in the committee room. Down below you have Representative Hodges. Chris Knox testified, today, and Chris Knox basically said the only thing that is stopping this project, is money. The total project consists of what they refer to as 5 elements or 5 phases. You have phase 1, which is kind of where they're going in, making road improvements, building some bridges, removing some of the utilities. But one of the main things that they're also doing is cleaning out some of these bayous, and they're connecting Baton Rouge Bayou to the Lily Bayou structure. This structure has been built a long time ago, but is absolutely doing nothing. But this will allow the water to go into the Mississippi River without backing up into our bayous and into the surrounding area. So that's phase 1. You got phase 2, which is connecting Cypress Bayou into the Lily Bayou structure. Now, phase 1 and phase 2 will have phenomenal benefits just to the Baker Zachary area, just connecting those bayous to that, to the Lilly, control structure, something that should have been done a long, long time ago. I understand that, the price tag I've been given to, complete these elements is somewhere about $70 million. A lot of the frustration that was said today was one of the big items is removing the utilities. You have pipelines out there. You have, and these utilities have to be removed. Now, I know myself personally, working on road projects, that's always, the one thing that always will slow a project down, and something that you don't really have a lot of control over, is getting these utility companies to remove the, these utilities. And there was some frustration by Senator Bodie White when he was, talking, to Chris Knox, saying, do you have a plan in place? Where are we? Are these utility companies? Once we drop the gun and the money's there, because we won't do the work, the state won't do the work, or the Corps of Engineers of removing the utilities. That's the responsibility of the utility companies. But we have to reimburse the utility companies, or we have to pay the utility companies to do this. So there was a lot of concern back when Chris Knox was testifying. I believe it was Bodie White that was really hammering him about how long will it take to complete this project. If we have all the money in the bank, if we're ready to go, how long will it take? Now, Chris Knox gave a time frame of about 2 years. In my personal opinion, I believe that's an over-aggressive schedule. I hope they're correct on it. But again, as I said, the whole theme of the day was, having to try to move this project forward. We have a lot of money in place. We have, right now we have more than half the money committed, to this, to complete this project. And it looks like, we had U.S. Senator John Kennedy came today, and he gave a very unique idea on funding, and I'll get to that in a second. But so they're saying, we got to go ahead and get this project going. We got to get it, completed. And again, as I said, Chris Knox gave a time frame of about 2 years. Let me go back. I was talking about people with a lot of passion, people that will be the heroes of this project. Chris Knox, who now is the chief engineer of DOTD, he is one guy that I believe that you will, when the history is written, that he'll be one guy that has really moved this project forward. And this has been his baby with the state. And so, but you can see a lot of his frustration. You can see, what he, when he was testifying. And he said, they kept asking if we have all the money in place, what does that mean? And Chris Knox said, that full funding is a game changer. With full funding, that we can work on all of these phases at one time. Now, you remember I said earlier that they refer to it as functional elements, that that there's 5 phases. The thing is that right now they're trying to do just kind of piecemeal it with the money they have. But if all the money is in place, that literally they can start working on all 5 phases at one time and really, speed up the process. Senator Bodie White, his message was very clear today. Now is the time to complete this project. Okay. I had said something about Senator John Kennedy. John Kennedy made an appearance today, and he came up. Again, as I said, I'm sitting back in the back. Kennedy, the people that are testifying are facing the task force, and then there's a large television. So this is a picture of the television of Senator John Kennedy testifying. You got Representative Valerie Hodges below the television. So anyway, as we all remember, that Senator Kennedy was the, he was the state treasurer for Louisiana for a long time, and one of the things that he really instituted was the unclaimed funds. Funds. When a person for whatever reason, abandons money. It could be a deposit on a utility company that they moved out of state, and that utility company wasn't able to get the money to them. Just whatever the reason is that that money goes into the unclaimed, fund, and you can go to the internet, and you can search, and you can go ahead and get your money back from the state, and the state acts as the custodian of it. Now, Senator Kennedy was talking about this fund, and right now there's about $700 million in this fund. So it becomes kind of like a bank. They know that, this year that Treasurer John Schroeder has done a phenomenal job, and he has reimbursed about $34,000 million of people's money back to them. But as as Senator Kennedy said, there is always more money coming into the state on the unclaimed fund versus that are going out. So the state uses that money to help balance helps balance the budget, because they know just historically how much money will go out and how much money will come in. Sometimes stocks get abandoned, and that the stocks the state ends up as the custodian of these stocks and mutual funds. Now the state has the treasurer. John Schroeder has full discretion that they can either reimburse the actual cash, the actual cash of the stocks. They can sell the stocks and just reimburse the cash, or they can hold the stocks. For whatever reason, that has been a policy reason that the state of Louisiana has always held the stocks. Senator Kennedy was talking about that right now that we're at historical highs with the stock market, and that the state is holding in its unclaimed fund about $70 million, or between, about $150 million in the unclaimed, just from the unclaimed stocks. What Kennedy what Kennedy was recommending is that the treasurer would go and sell all of the stocks. Anybody who would make a claim for it, they would be paid money for it. And Kennedy gave a very good reason, is that right now that we're having the stock market at an all-time high, that at some point in time that it will go down in the future. So now is a good time to sell the stocks. But by doing that, they know that how much money will, how many claims will be made, that they could go ahead and use this money on a capital project. They couldn't use it on something that's a reoccurring expense. Here's another picture of Senator Kennedy. And again, as I said, it was just the television. And so to use this money from the sale of the stocks to complete the Comite Diversion Canal, I thought it was a phenomenal idea. Now, one thing is that in recent days, Senator Kennedy has been known for his hometown humor, and we got it today. He was given a phenomenal compliment to Congressman Garrett Graves, and he was talking about how Garrett Graves was so passionate about this project. In fact, he said, and I love this quote. Only John Kennedy could say this. Is Congressman Graves is trying to get this project completed like a hound from hell, And then he went on to say, he says, Congressman Graves, if this project isn't soon started, Congressman Graves is going to go buy some shovels and start digging. It's only Kennedy could get away with saying things like that, and apparently the nation is beginning to love his humor and to love and love his intellect. He doesn't only have a humor, but he also has a great intellect. Earlier I was talking about Paul Sawyer, and Paul, as I said, this is a terrible picture of Paul. I know that Paul is probably going to be pretty angry at me for posting this picture, but Paul testified on behalf of Congressman Garrett Graves, and Paul talked, and there was one portion of it that I thought was extremely interesting. And Senator Bodie White asked Paul Sawyer, he says, Paul, you've been involved in this project from the very, very beginning. Right now, where are we? Where do you see that we're at? And, Paul said, Senator, I have two answers for you. He says, if I just walked into this room today not knowing anything, he said, I would say, man, we are awfully close to completing it. He says, but if I go back and look back, where we were 17 years ago, I would say, man, this has been a long road, and we just need to go ahead and complete this project. And we do need to complete this project. There was also testimony that was given that I was talking about the different phases of the project. They said, but the greatest benefit to all of East Baton Rouge, Livingston Parish, is going to be when they actually, connect the Comite Canal to the Lily Bayou, structure. And, it was also pointed out today that the Comite Diversion Canal is not the answer to all of East Baton Rouge flooding or all Livingston's flooding. In fact, in my area, during the Great Flood, I think it was estimated that we would only get about 1.5 feet of relief, if the Comite Diversion Canal was completed. But that 1.5 feet could have saved a lot of people's homes. Not everybody's homes, but it could have saved a lot of people's homes. And this is a project that citizens of our area have been paying taxes for 17 years. They've raised about $35 million, pay taxes to this. So we just need to complete this project. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous that it has taken so long. And, we're going to have another flood like we did in 2016. There was parts of Central that flooded this past weekend, with a 5-inch rain. So, I'm glad to see that our leaders are finally coming together. I'm very encouraged about it because one is that there is money there. There's money that can come. Let me talk about something else too. About I was talking about Paul Sawyer, and let me bring this up. Garrett Graves had added to the right now because of Florida, Texas, because of the natural disasters, even California with the fires and the floods out there, that people are looking at what are the lessons that we've learned in Baton Rouge. And one of the areas that in the I believe it's in one of the budgets for the some of the relief money. Congressman Graves had put in a provision in there concerning duplicate services. A lot of us have found out that if you have been offered, during the flood, if you didn't have money, some of the only relief that you could get was an SBA loan. Now, an SBA loan is not a grant. It's something that has to be paid back. And a lot of people then they went to try to go to Restore to get, to help them out. And they said, oh, well, you were offered an SBA loan. You took an SBA loan that you were not entitled to any other benefits, from, for the flood relief. Well, the duplicate service, what Congressman Graves have added to, this funding mechanism is that an SBA loan would not count against you. Another thing that in the duplicate services that Congressman Graves added provision was that we would be able to use some of the flood mitigation money to be able to complete this project. Right now we can use the flood mitigation money for cleaning out the canals, even connecting the canals to the Lily Bayou, but we cannot really do like connecting the Comite. But under Garrett Graves' proposal, then you would be able to use this flood mitigation money for improvements like the Comite, Diversion Canal, and which is that could be the total, if this could be just a game changer for us being able to do some type of flood projects in this area if this passes. Now, it has already passed the House of Representatives. It is at the Senate, and Senator Kennedy feels very certain that it will pass. But unfortunately, there is a time delay that it probably will be, it could be as late, sometimes in March or maybe even sometimes in the summer. Unfortunately, it could get caught up with the whole aspect of immigration reform, the Dreamers, like what we saw, last week when the government was shut down. But this is something that we need to watch, and I really, compliment, Gary Graves for putting this in there, because I know it's going to help a lot of people, but more than that, it will be able to help get the Comite Diversion Canal completed. Let me see. Anyway, as I was going back, we just need to complete this project. I think it's very important for this area. It's not the solution. It's not the end-all and all solution there is, but it is a solution, and it is something that we absolutely need to do. So again, this is Councilman Buddy Amoroso, and I'm going to be signing off. And everybody, y'all have a great day today.